The graphics card we'll pit against each other are the RX 6500 XT and the GTX 1080 Ti. We don't need any rasterization benchmarks to know that the 1080 Ti eclipses the 6500 XT even at favorable resolutions and settings for the Team Red card. But what about ray tracing? The 1080 Ti is the most powerful gaming card not to have ray accelerators, and the 6500 XT is the least potent gaming card with hardware support for ray tracing. I didn't just want to make this a comparison, but I tried hard first to figure out the ray tracing settings that run acceptably on the RX 6500 XT. I succeeded twice. So let's start with one of those. Initially, I thought ray traced shadows aren't worth it in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. RT Medium didn't look too different from regular ultra quality shadows. The difference in well-lit places are relatively small, that's for sure. However, RT Medium isn't super rough on the frame rate, and it transforms some locations. Here are some comparisons. RT off, RT on, RT off, RT on, RT off, RT on, RT off, RT on. The game is perfectly playable at these settings, but how does the 6500 XT compare against the 1080 Ti? The RX 6500 XT scored 70 FPS in the benchmark using regular ultra shadows, while the 1080 Ti scored 121. When I turned RT shadows to medium quality, the RX 6500 XT scored 55, and the GTX 1080 Ti scored 103 frames per second. Cyberpunk wouldn't let me turn on ray tracing on the 1080 Ti, and I couldn't turn it on using the RX 6500 XT in Doom Eternal, probably a good thing, Control, and Wolfenstein Youngblood. I didn't check those three with the Team Green card. Using Performance FSR, the RX 6500 XT can get 30 FPS when we don't enable anything but ray traced lighting. This isn't worth it. We can run the game with ultra quality FSR and medium settings at 60ish FPS. Resident Evil Village got my hopes up. At the very start, in the house, the RX 6500 XT managed playable frame rates at otherwise decent settings. But a bit later, that frame rate dropped into the 40s and then into the 20s. Turning ray tracing off and on again got the frame rate back into the 40s, but it wouldn't be too long before it was back to 20 FPS. Unfortunately, the game wouldn't allow me to turn on ray tracing on the 1080 Ti. This is Amid Evil. It has simple graphics, but it supports ray traced shadows and reflections. When RT was on, using quality FSR, the Team Red card pumped out a respectable, well-playable frame rate of 60 to 80 FPS. Ray tracing also worked on the 1080 Ti here, and to my surprise, it got beat badly by the 6500 XT. I can only speculate why this is the case, but it might be because the game otherwise requires so little resources. Two more quick ones. In Hellblade, the 1080 Ti pulled out an extremely decisive victory. I was targeting the same 30 FPS using the low RT option. The green card ran the game at a much higher resolution and maxed out instead of low graphics settings. And finally, in Ghost Runner, the 1080 Ti pulls ahead once again. Although both cards can hit around 60 FPS on the chosen settings, the gameplay on the 1080 Ti was smoother. A lot smoother. So, the 1080 Ti is victorious. But I didn't make this video to pick on the 6500 XT. The opposite, actually. I went to find at least some games where it could do ray tracing using solid settings while still producing stable frame rates. The 6500 XT will be the first chance many people have to experience ray tracing firsthand. And given the limitations of the card, it was clear that it was going to struggle hard in almost every game that supports ray tracing. So I'm thrilled that Shadow of the Tomb Raider works great with RT Medium. There are some other simple games like Amid Evil, which runs very nicely, and Minecraft and Quake 2 RTX, which can run reasonably at 720p. If you liked this video, you might like my other videos. Have a nice day.